Welcome, everybody, to another episode of I would call it now Business Mastery. We're gonna change the name every night. Hope everybody had a very Merry Christmas. That your holidays is going well, and if you're tuning in with us tonight, definitely stay with us for a little while. We won't keep you probably a full hour tonight, but we do want to share some important things with you. As always, how are you guys doing, Sean and Kyle? How your days been going?
Great, great. Happy Merry Christmas to you guys. Happy holidays. Great.
Yes, outstanding. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everybody. Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. So yes, but doing well. Families in town, so always good to go.
Very good. So I want to jump right into this with the topic of the night. And so I don't ever tell Sean and Kyle what the topic is. Sometimes they get it, sometimes they don't. But this time they didn't get it. But Kyle, you are the one that made me think about this topic, so it is all in your head. And I know Sean can pull some things from it as well. Tuesday when we met, you talked a lot about fame and fortune
hmm
and
Wow.
being and having fame without having fortune. So I wanted to have a conversation tonight because as I sit and think, I saw some statistics that only 23% of all the small businesses out there have one at least one employee.
Mm.
Only 23%, which means most businesses that are out there are sole props, owner operator, one person doing all the work, no ability to grow, no ability to scale. What I do also notice is we talked about other conferences, we talked about events because we're getting ready to have an event in March. And we talked about just the sheer numbers that some of these events draw 5, 10, 15, 20,000 people. But when the event is over, what happens? And so that is a lot of fame. And I think for us, we got to get beyond looking at business as I want to be famous when I'm still broke. Just to go through some of your own story about fame and fortune. And then, Sean, you definitely jump in with things you want to add, but kind of take us through again that journey that you talked about when you were famous, but didn't necessarily have a fortune.
Yes. Hey, well, okay, cool. Appreciate that. And yeah, we talked, on our weekly meetings that we have. But I was fortunate enough to be a television host of a TV show when we were in San Diego, and I hosted this TV show for about 12 years. And so when we got started, matter of fact, that's the reason why I hate American Idols because, what we did, we came up with a concept where we were basically taking original material, we put people on television. And so we were doing this. Next thing you know, it got kind of popular. What happened is from there, the word got out to the record studios and the record companies in LA because there's marketing people in certain areas. So even though we didn't have a black radio station, we were showing music and things. So the radios companies, record companies started sending us, videos, music videos. As they started sending the music videos, then they started inviting us on the sets of, you know, uh, videos that were being produced. I remember we was on the set of, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was a group called Lighter Shade of Brown. They invited us on their set. We were on the set with George Duke. We were on MTV. One time they were having something, and Escape was there, Jermaine Dupri, Heavy D, Omar Epps. So we were getting invited to places like that, Gloria Gaynor, stuff like that. So I started getting recognized as hanging out with these people. So therefore, now if you're associated with them, you're going to get famous. But guess what? We weren't making no money. Wasn't making no money. So, I had a stage name and everything. And so we were going around. And I remember one time I was sitting at the light, right? I had this beat up car. It was a Datsun 210. The paint was coming off on the side. And I remember at the light, somebody looked over me and they said, I know who you are. And I was
Wow.
like, so once again, fame, no fortune, and you think that that's what you want, right? But when there's nothing to it, it's shallow. You know what I mean? Because you're being seen with all these people and all this stuff. I mean, if you could think about anybody in the '90s, we probably had him on the show. And Sean knows he remembers seeing what we were doing back then. But even though we weren't doing business at the time, but he still knew, and it was just crazy. So I just remember that's a terrible feeling that, you seen with all these people, but guess what? They weren't rich either, but we were thinking that they were rich. And all those artists, I remember we got a chance to go to, I hate to tell you guys this, but my cousins, they were in the music industry. And so we got invited. We went up to LA and we were in the hotel with them. They were staying in the Hyatt, so beautiful hotel. They were performing that night on, I think it was Arsenio Hall or something like that. And I remember we was in the room and my wife and I, we were there and they was eating Rice Krispies. And so I'm like, what in the world? You're staying in the Hyatt, you eating Rice Krispies. Like, what in the world? Why you ain't getting the cheeseburger or something like that, or French fries or steak and lobster? But I mean, it wasn't in the budget. And so they were signed to Motown. They were performing that night. Matter of fact, we went over to Motown, got a chance to see Motown, everything and all this kind of stuff was crazy. But to understand that, fame, no fortune. So yeah, that's how it was.
I love it. Sean, before you jump in, I watched over the last couple of days, The Temptations.
Yeah.
And so every time I rewatch a show like that or a movie like that and look at the history, I picked up on in the movie where they were saying, "Oh, we got to go tour because we got to make this money." Or when Eddie told David Ruffin, he was like, "We got to get this money." And now we're seeing that it's coming out that all of these celebrities don't have the money that you think they have.
Yeah.
Right.
They also, even not only from music but also from movies, a lot of people are saying they're not getting paid fairly. We had a lot of, I forget which actress it was, but she broke down talking about, how she didn't have money, how Cat Williams didn't have money in the beginning. But the thing is with that fame, because I've also heard, well, if you get the fame you can get the fortune. That's if you know how.
Right.
But for those that are listening as business owners and people who want to become business owners, sometimes we get trapped up in wanting to look like everybody else. I think social media has hurt us in that sense that, and people send me stuff all the time. They're like, you see what X so and so is doing, you see what so and so is doing. We should do that, and maybe it should look like this. And I'm like, they don't have no money, right? They don't know that part.
Yeah.
I've seen I've seen individuals with mansions, and they always taking pictures of these mansions. But then you find out that, and rightfully so, it could be a business idea that is 4 or 5 people own it, and nobody really lives there. It
Right.
Airbnb business model, but sometimes it portrays that you own that house and you living in it and it's your mansion. No, it's about 10 people's mansion. Same
Yeah.
thing with private planes. These people not flying these planes, they paying to take pictures on them.
Right.
And so you as a business owner see that lifestyle and want to live that, but you don't want to build a real business. And when you were talking about it, Kyle, it just hit home because I know a lot of famous people, but they working every day. And if they don't go to work, they can be broke within 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. The real wealth is in the boring business. Now, that's not to say you can't have an exciting business and be wealthy. It's just not highly unlikely. Like I can't see Coca-Cola being a fun business unless you're making some aspects of it fun, but it's a stable business. And you got to decide what you want.
Mhm.
Do you want to be famous and okay, or do you really want to be wealthy? And you could get famous from being wealthy. I would say that I don't know if Warren Buffett is considered to be famous. I mean, he or a celebrity, but he is known. Mark Cuban is known. All of these billionaires on that list that we know them, but there are many billionaires we don't know. And so, Sean, from your perspective, being in the space a long time, being around a lot of people, what do you see from this conversation of fame or fortune?
Yeah. So first, I was never famous, right? I did my thing and, made some money, and that was that. I never thrived to be out in front. Um, but, you have basically two types of people out here. You have people that will fake it till they make it. They will, buy the cars, they will buy the houses, flash the cash, but they really don't have the money. That cash is all the cash they have for the whole month, right? And then you have people that they have money, but their expenses are so high that money's
Hmm.
pretty much gone at the end of the month.
Mhm.
So it's not really a big difference between the two. They're both broke. One is just getting eaten up by expenses. Now, obviously, if he cut back on some of the expenses and some of the lavish spending, then obviously he would be able to create a little nest egg. But they have to keep up with that lifestyle because obviously they may be famous and they're like, oh, that's so and so. He's supposed to drive a $250,000 Range Rover or something, or 500,000 Lamborghini. They're supposed to drive that, not knowing that these guys is basically either leasing their vehicles, renting their homes, or whatever. So you know, I believe as far as a business owner, you have to be able to manage your expenses, because expenses will kill your business. It will absolutely destroy your business. That's you know expanding too fast, getting too many employees too fast, or building up, uh, getting a larger office space. It will kill you because that stuff doesn't end just it's just not the one time spending type of thing, right? You spend it over and over and over. So if you're not bringing in that cash each month, then it's going to end up taking effect on your business or having a huge effect on your business. So you got to be extremely careful with that.
Yeah, I know all about expanding too fast, hiring too many people, spending a whole lot of money, and then when you look around, Kyle, you like, man, where did the money go? And
Yeah,
because what doesn't lie is your tax return.
yeah.
And when you see the numbers, like I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I looked at my tax return. I was like, "There's no way I made that money. They made some kind of mistake." It
Right.
was like because the like Sean said, the minute it came in, it was gone to pay some expense, to pay some vendor, to pay some bill, to pay something, and
Yeah.
it went so fast. Even when I was flipping, when I sold my last house about 2 years ago, yeah, 2022, in that flip, that money that came in, and as I was moving and flipping, I was spending so much money I didn't even know where it went.
Mhm.
Like in the year between 2019 and 2021, I did probably 60 projects. And I promise you, I lost money on probably 50 of them. It was going so fast. It was happening so fast. And you pay the vendor and you get paid and you pay the vendor and you get paid and the money just flying. It didn't even, that's when the money doesn't even sit in your account. Like I
Right.
didn't have time to even spend it. It was gone before it hit the account. It just whoop siphoned. So that's a great perspective to say, and I sent this out in the email today. Profit first. So here's your first lesson as a business owner. You should be profit first in your budgeting. Somebody said you're 10 to 60, you need a new coach. It's called lessons. It's
Right.
lessons learned. That's
Right.
lessons learned. We all go through it. You be in business long enough, you'll learn enough lessons. Been there, done that. I don't need no more coaches. I got plenty.
And know what, Tyrus, and I wanted to key on that too because one of the things that when I was going through that and watching that, somebody made a statement and they said, "Remember, what is it called?" Now, this is what the entertainment show business. And what's the bigger word? Because see, that's what the folks don't focus on. And it just for me, it kind of it just really just maturated into business itself. Because think about it, show business. Everybody's focused on the production, doing the music, and make sure they get out there and perform and get the record deal, but they forget about the business part. And it's funny that you wanted to talk about this topic because Sean and I just the other day we were talking about MC Search, and you
Mhm.
guys
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
remember that group back then, Third Base. But I sent something over to Sean and said, "Yo, check this out." Sean said, "Yeah, he's seen that before." But I don't know if a lot of people know, MC Search basically took over management for Nas.
Yeah.
And Nas is one of the smartest basically rappers out there, but MC Search managed his career. And because Nas was smart enough to say, hey, take a look at this agreement. I don't understand it. And Search was like,
Real quick, Cal, not only that, but his pride didn't get in the way.
yep, yep. And he let MC Search basically take over his business dealings, and MC Search put him where he needed to be. And Nas came out golden, golden. And so a lot of people might not know that story, but MC Search behind a lot of people. If you don't remember, MC Search is part of that group called Third Base,
Yeah.
and he had signed with Def Jams. But yeah, so one of the things that just what you're saying right there, Terrence, is that business. And I remember I bought a book, and it was a book called This Business of Music. And if anybody was in the record industry, they need to get that book. It's called This Business of Music. And every year they kind of did a revised version of it. But I mean, if you're thinking about what we did with music, you should be thinking that same way with your business. What book are you buying? What seminar are you going to? What conference are you involved in to learn about business? Because that book right there, This Business of Music, it showed you. People forget about production. They forget about publishing. That was all part of it. So you go out there
Yeah.
singing, but they forget about writing. That's where the real money's at, publishing. So yeah.
And it's what's crazy is it's so many artists out there right now that don't have any money because they gave away all of that stuff early on. And they might have had a hit song, like one hit wonders or whatever, but they don't have nothing. They don't have nothing from it now. So, you have to be extremely careful, and you have to be humble enough to get somebody in that knows the business that can take care of you. So that's a problem with a lot of business owners right now. They want to get to the next level, but they're not humble enough to do it.
Right.
Yeah. Dane Sweet Tooth said diversify to other areas. Absolutely. That's a fact. It's something that is for sure needed once you scale to a specific level. Um, Going back to that music, Motown, if you read and study how Barry Gordy set it up, he took and borrowed from a different industry. He took what he learned at Ford and brought it to the music industry. So it was an assembly line of musical acts. Everybody went through the same process. You went through dance, you went through vocal coaching, you went through your writing, you went through your practice with the same band. And then he did a quality control. And so when you cut the album, they would then let his advisors, other writers, who was it at the time was there? Lost his name that quick. But they
Smokey?
would, yeah, Smokey.
Yeah.
Then they would sit and say, is this album a hit or not? And if it wasn't, then they would cut another. They would do that over and over and over. But Jay Abraham talks about a lot of business owners look to try to do something new when they could just look at another industry and borrow what's working in that industry and bring it to their own. So even back then, Barry Gordy was like, what Ford has is working. How do I apply it to the music industry? How do I apply it to this industry? How do I apply it to that industry? And I think that's something that I learned throughout the years in business is just looking at what's working and then applying it to something else and making that work. Because like even in my real estate days, because sold a lot of projects, made a lot of money, but those first years where I lost a lot, like that period of time where I lost all of that money on those projects, that was my first year. I did more projects my first year than most people do in their career in real estate. And so I learned hard lessons. Going back to what Sean said, scale too fast, hired the wrong people, didn't listen. Because I'm gonna go back to the Red Nation. He said I need a new coach. I actually just wasn't listening to the coaches that I did have that
Mhm.
told me what to do. I was not humble enough. I got it, and I'm moving fast, and we making a lot of money. But then when you add it all up at the end, it's like, oh yeah, you didn't make as much as you thought you made. You actually lost. But those lessons helped me today to craft the right skill sets in order to move in business and not make the same mistakes. I want to take you guys through your journey as a human being.
Okay.
Your journey as a human being
Okay.
from startup to wealth. And you can stop on any level you want to stop at. There's no wrong answer to this. But when we first leave out of the house, and maybe even before we get our first job, that's because we need income. Now you can stay right at that level and work a job, McDonald's, any kind of labor job. Then, if you get certain skill sets, you enhance who you are, you learn. Jim Rohn said if you work on yourself, you can make a fortune. If you work for somebody else, you'll just be rich or you'll make a living. Once you get certain skill sets, then you can start moving into a career. Job and career are different things. People get them confused. Or you get what they call a good job. The old people say you go get you a good job. That's your six figures. If
Right.
you're making under 100K, you just got a job. When you hit six figures, you got maybe a career. Now, after those two phases, having a career or a job won't make you wealthy. The next phase is investing. The question is, what do you invest in? Is it real estate? Is it ATMs? Is it the stock market? Going back to diversification. What are these different things that you can invest in? To Sean's point, if you invest in all of those, yes, you will make money, but you don't own really any of it. Somebody else owns that company that you're investing in. You're making them rich. Then the next level is being a business owner, where you create your own, you have your own asset, and you're taking the income from that asset and then investing into other things. And I would say after a business owner, then you become a true investor, where you're buying other businesses and you're watching them grow and scale. So that is a Warren Buffett. That is a Bill Gates. That is a Elon Musk. That is a Mark Zuckerberg. These guys buy businesses. They ain't interested in working in a business every single day. Kyle, I remember when you first said you like, I ain't trying to get another job.
Right.
On that ladder, where are you? The good news is wherever you are, you can take the next step. But you have to decide and you have to do what's right for you. My step on the ladder may not be your step on the ladder, but you have to make a decision. And a lot of us make the decision of we want to be famous or we want to be seen on social media or we want to floss or fake it till you make it or all of these things which don't mean anything at all.
Exactly.
And then you're complaining or you're borrowing or you're begging or you're doing X, Y, and Z. Make a decision on what you want to be and what you want to have, because when you set that goal, then you can reverse engineer everything else. I want to know from both of your perspectives, why do you think we are so adverse to building a business versus just operating in one? And I want to separate the difference. I'm not talking about your side hustle t-shirt business. Everybody want to do that. Everybody want to sell merch. But why not start a legitimate business that can really grow and scale? What is stopping people from doing that?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, they think it's too difficult. It's the knowledge. My thing has always been, listen, you can invest in all of these other companies and it may take you a good 20 years in order to, make $1 million out of it, maybe 2 million. But if you had that same passion and that same desire to increase your business, and you're in an industry that obviously you can scale. I mean, why not promote your own stuff? I'm all for promoting your own stuff. I don't want to promote somebody else's. I don't want to get on a podcast and say, oh, invest in Microsoft, invest in Tesla. I don't want to do that. I want to invest in my stuff. Because at the end of the day, when my stock price opens up and everybody's investing in me and my stock is rising, that increases my net worth, and not by a couple of million. You got to understand, I'm a CEO, a vice president, CFO, whatever you guys' position is, right out there, that's watching this, right? You're going to have, let's say 30 million shares. Go to Tesla, try to buy 30 million shares. Go to Amazon and try to buy 30 million, 40 million, 50 million shares. But if you promote your company and you build up your company to where it's increasing, the valuation of your company, and people are starting to hear about it, and they starting to invest in your company, and now you have a $5 piece of paper at 50 million shares, that's $250 million net worth. And that might take 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. I would rather go for $250 million than invest in all these Tesla and stuff and all this other stuff and make them guys rich and make a couple million off of it any day. So that's what I always say, invest in yourself.
Yeah, I would go back to Tyrus, one of the stories I told you about. I mean, I got a chance to see it, and I want to go back to the music industry, but I got a chance to see it several times over and over and over about how the record industry just would take groups, turn around, get them in, because there was always another group coming up. So they would always just, by the time they get to the third album, boom, they were gone. And I would see it over 12 years. I saw it over and over and over again and again and again. But one time I focused on, the group called Jodeci. And when I focused on them and what they did and how I watched it, and I watched how they progressed through their career, but how Mariah Carey and how Janet Jackson, how those, companies kind of did certain things. And I didn't tell you this aspect of it, but one time we were doing an interview with Public Enemy, and so we were actually at the hotel where they were at, and so they told us, "Hey, come down to the hotel. You want to interview Public Enemy?" So I got a chance to interview, Chuck D and Flavor Flav, and Flavor Flav said, "Yo, you look like a skinny Bill Bellamy." That's what he called me. So I didn't want to say anything about him. But what happened is I was on the phone, right? And when I was on the phone, the guy that was working with them from Def Jams, he was on back then. Remember, we used to be on the payphone. Y'all remember that? So he was having problems because I was watching. We were getting ready to interview Chuck D, and Chuck D was mad. He was furious. And I was like, wow, what in the world? What's going on with Chuck D? So I'm watching how we setting up the cameras and everything, but I'm on the phone. And then the guy next to me, he was a representative for Def Jam's West Coast. And he was saying, yeah, Chuck D is mad and this and that or whatever and this and that. And I'm like, what? And come to find out, you got the West Coast and you got the East Coast. People don't realize Def Jams had an East Coast and a West Coast. Well, they were out there doing a promotional tour and they were performing that night at the San Diego Arena. And this was the year, if you remember, they had that claymation video. That video that was made out of claymation was, I think, Fear of a Black Planet or something. And Chuck D was upset, he said, because they weren't putting marketing money into, Fear of a Black Planet. He said they were putting more marketing money into Montel Jordan. If you guys remember, Montel Jordan was on Def Jams. This is how we do it. And there was another female group called YMV. And I was like, what? And I sat there and I listened to that, even though I was on the phone, but I could hear them. And Chuck D was just upset. He said, y'all ain't putting no marketing money in us. And that's when I shared with you time and time again how these guys are not getting any marketing money. But Chuck D was about his business. He knew what should be going on in his business. And he was looking, saying, look, you guys are not promoting us. We're not getting out here like we should. And I was like, wow. And it made me understand, be about your business. To what I said earlier, show business. What's the bigger word? Business. So take care of that. So when you talk about the path of the flight that we were on, that made me understand, because think about it, Chuck D, they were big at the time. They were huge. And he was upset with this new group, Montel Jordan and YMV. Why? Because they were brand new. And remember what we talked about? They got all the promotion money, but the groups that were aged or out there longer, they weren't getting as much promotional money. So it made me understand, in a business, you got to understand, whether it's promotion or whether it's marketing or whatever, you got to put some of those dollar bills towards your marketing. Grow your business. because whether it's the music industry, it don't matter. What is it all about? Selling product, right? Something, you got a widget, your gadget, service, whatever, you got to sell it. And basically, they were selling records. But if you got whatever your business is, you've got to understand, put money into your marketing, put money into growing. I can't tell you how many times Sean and I talked to somebody, oh, I done spent all my money. I put all my money into putting this together. Now they got no money for marketing. And I mean, we can't help you. Unfortunately, there's nothing we could do because you ain't got no money to help you get further. You done took all your money. You didn't think about anything else. And now whatever you put together, you at a standstill. Your business either going away or, you have to try to find some investors.
I've seen that, and a lot of people going back to why they may not think that this is for them or possible is that maybe they're not making enough money right now, or maybe their business isn't profitable, or just maybe the business idea that they don't believe in it enough. Like if you believe in your business idea enough and you can sell the story and the dream and show the trajectory, people will invest in your business. DoorDash just now is about to go profitable. They believe next year, but they have been losing hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
And when they IPO'd in 2020, they opened up, I believe, at 182.
Is the owners billionaires?
Oh yeah, they closed
Yeah.
at
So
189 and valued them at $79 billion in
so they're
2024.
losing money each year. They haven't made a profit yet, and the owner is a billionaire. That's
Correct.
what I'm saying.
Okay,
That's what
so
I'm saying.
make that make sense. Think about that. That's what we teach people in our course. Make that make sense. Because if you are a privately held company, you're going to be broke. And not only going to be broke, but you're going to have headache after headache after headache because you're trying to figure out where your next dime coming from. And you don't have a clue. But as long as you got people investing in your company and you got a great, and guess what? That means, what is that? DoorDash. You got Uber. You got Uber Eats. You got, what is that? The other one? I forgot the one that linked up with Walmart. I forgot which one that was. But I mean, it's crazy. They're copying what other people are doing, and they're doing the same thing. But yet you got other people standing on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And so they did. They reported their first ever quarterly profit as a public company and beat revenue expectations in the third quarter of 2024. So this year, they made a profit. Net income of 162 million compared to a net loss of 73 million in the same quarter last year.
So
So
net.
go
So
for it.
real quick, Tyrus. So just imagine, Tyrus, right? If that company wasn't, if Uber wasn't publicly traded, you said a net income of 164, right? So that doesn't sound like he made $1 billion, though, is it? Does
No,
that sound like the revenues are $1 billion? Because
not at all.
basically, once you promote that company, right, you, your net worth is no longer how much you're getting paid off of salary. It's what your stock value, what your stock is worth.
Mhm.
So he's literally sitting on $1 billion net worth that he can take and leverage and cash it in or cash in some of it or whatever you got to do to get some money out of it. But and his company's only making 162 million, 64 million. So this stock game, in companies, when you have a publicly traded company, it's something. And they can create generational wealth beyond your wildest dreams.
And I think that's the step that we need to really, really think about. If this is what we want, do we want to be tired? Because it's the same energy. The same
Yeah.
energy that it takes to go just run your business day to day is the same one to set it up and be able to walk through this process of IPOing and being a publicly traded company.
Right.
We don't have the conversation enough. And we just need to have it more and more and more so it can sink in. You don't have to go out and buy somebody else's stock all your life. Can you do it? Sure. Yes. Should you do it? Absolutely. Should that be your only method? No. Because we know that Warren Buffett makes his money through owning a lot of shares in other companies, but he also has his own publicly traded company where you can go buy stock in his company.
Exactly.
And they do a lot of mergers and acquisitions. So they buy a lot of companies and help them grow, and they eat off of the profits of that. Never have to work. One time I saw that a lot of billionaires like him, they spend hours reading a day and then they nap profusely. I'm like, how do you nap all day and read and be rich? I couldn't figure it out.
You can relax when you got a
They're,
billion under your belt, you know?
they're not working. And it's not to say they're not working. Their work is different.
They're working
They're
different.
not
That's all.
they're not running a company day to day worried about everything in the company. They are networking, they're having conversations, they're thinking of new things to do, they're launching new ideas, they're bringing all of this stuff together. And Kyle, you said something that's very important. I want to go back to it so I don't forget it. You have to have a budget for marketing.
Yeah.
That's the only way. Now, when you're first starting out, you're brand new, your network is your marketing. It's calling everybody in your phone, it's emailing everybody that you know, it's going door to door, it's saying, hey, I have this product or service. Will you support me? Because you have to take people from free, that's your free samples, to paying for what you have, to advertising to a cold market. I'm gonna read y'all something, just a snippet. I ain't gonna say no names. Can't never say no names on here. You know, you don't share people's stuff. But there's a challenge coming up, and you won't be able to find because a lot of challenges coming up. We will start ads in the first 1.2 million ad budget. 1.2 million dollars ad budget.
Right.
A lot of you think that you can grow your business spending $200, $500 a month in ads. You will only grow so far. It is not enough to move the algorithm. And we let people tell us that, oh, I spent $50 and I made 10,000. You never know how that happened. They could have had an audience before. They could be hot right now. They could have just had luck on their side. But the real spenders in this space spend hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in advertising every single month. And that is how they make their true reach, or that's how they reach that new audience that's cold and bring them in, warm them up, and convert them and turn them into clients. And then from there, they go out and do whatever business they're doing, offer them new offer, upsells, and all these different kind of things. But there's a certain pathway that you need to take in your business to do that. No matter where you are, you have to know exactly the next logical step for you. So if you're brand new, start with your personal network. If you're not making or doing or having 100 conversations per day, you're not doing enough. You're just not doing enough. And it doesn't work. Like when people tell me, I tried to call X amount of people to get my program out there, and they all said no. I said, well, how many people did you call? I called 10. That ain't enough. It ain't enough. Oh, I sent a few emails. Well, how many emails did you send? I sent 100. That ain't enough. How many people went to your website last month? Oh, about 20. If they're tracking, if they even know, most people don't even know. You need 1,000 people minimum a month hitting your website. The data will help you grow your business. You have to be dedicated to doing it. And I think that going back to the topic, we're so concerned with trying to show up on social media that we miss the business principles and the practices that we should be taking. Alex Hormozy, I'm watching a course that he did, and he was talking about content marketing, meaning organic social media. You're posting on social media, you're on social media, you're going live on social media, is the longest way to build a presence that you can take. But yet most of us want to do it because somebody told us that we could jump on Facebook tomorrow and be rich.
Yeah.
You just won't be able to do it. No industry works that way. Now, are you concerned with being famous, or are you concerned with having a fortune? That's a question that you have to ask yourself. As we get ready to wrap up, I want you to go back through the stages again. You start working, you move up to a career when you're making about 100K. 100K a year plus not gonna make you wealthy. You need to start investing in something. Then you need to start building something, or you can build first. Maybe you invest that money in your business and do a little bit of bootstrapping, because we don't recommend you bootstrap a lot. We recommend you raising that capital, because if you raise that capital, then you won't have to bootstrap and put all of your money into it. So raise the capital from those angel investors, early stage VC companies, people that you may know. Raise it so
Right.
you don't have to spend it. Kyle, did you mean to drop that in the comments for everybody to see?
Yeah, because I wanted them to see it. Basically, Henry Ford. Henry Ford said, "A man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time." Advertising is an integral part of a successful business. Think about it. The movie industry, we're talking about entertainment and we've been talking about music, but think about it. Anybody comes out with an album, if it's that person's first time coming out with an album or whatever, the EP, guess what? The record company puts so much money up for advertising. In a movie, when it comes out, that movie's only going to be out for what, 5 to 6 weeks? But 25% of the budget is advertising. You know what I mean? And just to get it out for those 5 or 6 weeks. So, just letting people know that when we talk to business owners and we try, look, you need marketing, you need money for that, because you're just killing yourself. And folks, why don't they know this? Why don't they understand it? Because they never took a marketing class. They've never been involved in somebody teaching them how to run a business. So when they come to us and we're like, okay, look, hey, this is what's going to cost to be it up. Then they're like, oh man, we don't have that. We thought y'all raised capital, y'all was going to do it for us. No, there's something that's got to be behind that. You got to get that moving. And then after you get there, guess what? You can't stop. You got to keep doing it. You got to keep doing it. That's the reason why your folks know 1.2 million in advertising. But what you shared with the other day, which is so powerful, think about it. If somebody puts out 25% of their budget, that's why they're doing $100 million over a weekend with a movie. And it costs what, $60 million to do a movie, and you made $100 million the first weekend. There you go.
Exactly. I think that goes back to budgeting, because I look at the same thing with movies. And again, if you're an owner of a business, look at different industries, not just your own, not just your competitors in your industry. Look at what different industries do. Because for all of you that may want to be a speaker, you may want to sell courses, you may want to coach, all of the giants in that space, your Tony Robbins, your Dean, your ETs, your Grant Cardones, your Pedros, your Pat Davids, all of those people follow a similar approach. All of those approaches, if you really study what they do, follow the movie and the music industry based on releases, how they do launches.
Yeah.
Jeff Walker is a huge, he's not as well known as they are, but they follow his launch strategy. And so there's a way that you build up, you budget, you advertise, you do pre-launches. And let's just take a movie, for instance, Bad Boys 4. They started making a movie 3-4 years ago. Then about a year out, you see Bad Boys Coming Soon. That's it. Nothing else. Just that.
Huh?
Then about 6 months, maybe a year out, you start seeing the first trailers. When you get the movie date, when it's in theaters, now you start to see more trailers. As it gets closer, 90 days to launch to the movie, they start doing press. They start doing radio. And then they do the premiere. That is the cycle of a movie launch. They know, to your point, Kyle, that hey, our movie budget was 100 million. Anything over that is profit.
Yeah.
So when we see numbers, you have to think about, okay, Chat GPT, for all of you that's trying to figure out, okay, how do I figure it out? I just sat on Chat GPT over the last 2 days. See, y'all celebrating Christmas and stuff. I'm building. I said, Chat GPT, I want to do $5 million in 2025. What process do I need to take? How much advertising budget do I need to spend? and where should I price these programs that I traditionally priced at this point? And ChatGPT spit out some numbers.
Hmm.
Now I have something to work from.
Yeah, a
I'm not
guideline.
just blind saying, hey,
Yeah,
I want to be a millionaire. Hope I get it. No, I set the number. Then back before ChatGPT, you just had to hand work it all out and figure it out yourself and write it out through research. Now it helps you, it shortcuts the process, but it literally gave me a breakdown on everything I should be doing. And I
Hmm.
want you listening, whatever goal you set, if it doesn't feel impossible, if it doesn't scare you, if it doesn't make you feel like it's not big enough, you gotta set a goal big enough. And I'm reading a book, 10x is easier than 2x by I think it's Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. I know Dan Sullivan, but they're talking about how it's actually easier to 10x than 2x.
Right.
Because when you try to double something that you're doing, it's just so close. You can take many different approaches to do that. Well, I can do about 10 different things to make 2x. But if you're talking about 10xing, that's going to really streamline what you can do, because now you have to really focus. Because if I'm doing $1 million and I want to 10x that, that's a bigger number than saying 2 million.
yeah,
And
Hmm.
so if your number isn't big, make it bigger, 10x it. Then streamline what you need to do and focus on the 20%. If you need help doing that, we invite you to come to Charlotte March 28th, 29th in 2025. We are hosting our first in person event. At that event, we're going to walk through everything that we've been discussing in all these lives, and as we continue to discuss them, but we're going to really show you how to raise capital and grow and scale your business. And that's from A to Z. Whether you're brand new or you've been in business a long time and you just want to scale, we're going to teach you the marketing, we're going to teach you the operations, we're going to teach you the capital raising, we're going to teach you all of those things, because that is what you need in order to grow. Now, you can make $1 million, great. Most businesses don't. But if you're talking 10, 20, 50, 100 and above, this is where we can help you. We can really help you scale those businesses and get them there. Now, Sean, as we get ready to close this out, any last thoughts about the topic, where people land, what they should be focusing on?
yeah. It's an interesting topic because again, a lot of people you won't never believe their finances. I mean, if they didn't tell you or if you didn't hear from someone else. I mean, we've talked to people with number one hit records that they were pretty much broke. I mean, we've actually been on the phone with athletes and pretty much broke. And these were pretty, I would say star athletes. So, obviously you got to invest your money wisely because sitting in the bank, that's not investing your money. You have to invest wisely. I'm always a person to bet on myself. Cal, we've been betting on ourselves for decades,
Hmm.
literally, and you know, we're just because we knew each other's working patterns. We were the people that when push come to shove, if the job didn't get done, we would stay and do it, and it didn't matter the time that we left out. Sometimes we left out, 3 o'clock in the morning. Who cares? Start it up again tomorrow, do the same thing because it's our stuff. So that's the mentality you have to have anytime you have to have a business. You have to get the job done. You have to fulfill it. And I guess that comes from our military background. And, now Tyrus is on board. So, um, but we're all hard workers. You got to work hard in your business. If you want to expand, if you want great things in life, you got to not only work hard because everybody works hard. My mother worked 27 years in General Motors, and she died pretty much, not even 100,000 in the bank. But it takes a level of, smarts and smart working, and I think that's what enables to get a lot of things done. But just strive for your business, get your business up and get it going, and give us a call if you need help, if you need some coaching, whatever, give us a call. We have a lot of experience in that industry, so give us a call.
All right, Mr. Kyle, what you got?
You know what? I'm going to leave with this because it's funny. You know, after 12 years of being with that, you know, with that company, again, like I said, I didn't have, you know, all I had was a bunch of T-shirts and some CDs. You know what I mean? After that, that's when we started, you know, JMI. But you know, Juice Marketing Inc. But I want to show everybody really what where I had my paradigm shift. And don't get me wrong, what I'm about to say, especially about education, because I'm not against education, but I believe that there's specialized knowledge. And so when you get specialized knowledge in a specific way, then it can have a paradigm change for you. And I remember when I was, you know, when I was in the military and I was taking classes because I thought I was going to be a naval officer. And I was taking this class. It was called Aviation Torts. Aviation, and my degree was in aviation management. And I remember we were coming back from lunch, and the professor that was teaching the class, you know, he was rolling, coming down the hill. Like I remember him driving down. He had a 450 SL. Remember the car in American Gigolo, Richard Gere? He had the top back and everything, and his hair was blowing. And as I was looking at this professor driving down, and he was just coming, and I just remember looking at him, and I was saying a self prophetic, you know, prophecy to myself. And I said to myself, I would never be where he's at. Now think about that. At that time, at that moment, I'm saying to myself, I'll never be where he's at. How many people are saying that to themselves? I'll never be where this individual's at. And I remember when he was driving down or whatever, and I just said that, and I went back into class, we did it. And I remember that year they were talking about San Diego State was going to be graduating 5,000 people, and they were going to be looking for a job. Let me say it again. 5,000 people graduating from San Diego State, and they're coming out without a job. They're looking for a job. And I was like, wow. And then I remember I'm sitting in class getting my aviation management degree. And I said, oh, when you graduate, you're going to be able to get, you know, you're going to be able to start out with $60,000 a year. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to San Diego, but you make $60,000 a year at McDonald's. Nothing personal, but I mean, you know, so like what? I'm doing all this schooling for 4 years. I'm getting this piece of paper, and then I'm going to get what? $60,000 a year? I'm like, yo, where's the $60,000 a month jobs? Where are those jobs at? That's the one that I'm looking for. How do I sign up for that? Where's that class? And guess where that class is? Right there with us on Wednesday from 8 to 10. That's the $60,000 a month class, because that's where you need to be if you want to be in that class. Because other than that, there's no place out there they're going to teach you how to do that. Why? Why would they teach you how to make that kind of money when that's what they're probably making, but yet the business is going to pay you just enough so you stay, and you're going to work just hard enough so they don't fire you. I'll leave you guys with that this evening.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, good people, that is all we have for you tonight. Make sure that as you go into, since we're rounding this year out, it'll be New Year's. The next time we see you, it'll be after New Year's. Really, really think about what you want in 2025 from a financial, a spiritual, an emotional, a health, a family, whatever it is. Finally set some goals and make your move towards those goals, because you're either designing and living your life, or you're living your life by the design of somebody else. Either way, you're going to go through the life. You can either control it, or you can be controlled. And if you're saying that you're comfortable, then that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Just know it though. Realize it. But if you want to continuously grow and get better, faster, stronger, healthier, smarter, wealthier, then you got to surround yourself with like minded individuals. And that's what we look to do as we move into the new year. We got a lot of things coming because at this event, we're going to announce a lot of things for our own business. Again, this isn't just us talking to you, this is us walking the journey with you. We're going to take our company public. We're going to acquire some companies in 2025. We're going to grow and scale in 2025. And we want you to be along that journey with us. And we're going to show you exactly how we did it. So you can do it too in your industry, in your space. As long as you have the example, you can do it too. I remember I can't think of who it was, but there was a wealthy person living in Baltimore City, and they chose to stay like in the neighborhood instead of moving out. And they asked them why. Why would you put your nice house in the hood? And they said, so the people can see that there's an alternative.
Hmm.
If we went and just got with Morgan Stanley or JP Morgan or any of the other private banking institution and we hid behind the institution, people would not think that it's possible. And so we're out here telling you that it's possible, and we're going to show you the exact steps that you need to take. So sign up for the event. We got a lot in store for you. And as it gets closer, we will begin releasing some of those things that's coming. Have a happy new year, and we will see you all next time.
Happy New Year's, guys.